Hey y'all, I'm Dan, and this is Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. This week, we're back in Pennsylvania, chatting with CJ Mitchell, a recording artist based out of Pittsburgh. CJ reflects on his Southern West Virginia upbringing, his journey in music, and what led him to the Steel City. Let's dive in.
Is
How are you?
good. How are you?
I am fabulous. Do you have any questions before we start?
No, I'm just pumped to be talking to a West Virginia person. I never get to do that. My name is CJ Mitchell. I am a songwriter, singer, musician, dancer from Southern West Virginia. So recording artist, I guess, is the word there.
I feel like you're just so, like from your, even looking at like your album artwork and then also like your Instagram and stuff, you just seem like you're so creative. I feel like your album artwork is so put together, but I don't want to jump too much
Thank you.
further. If you, for those who have not heard your music, if you had to like capture it in just like a few short words, how would you explain your music?
I would say it is pop soul, which is actually the way Spotify and Apple Music define it, but it is pop soul from the queer perspective. That's what it would be.
I like that. And I saw while listening, I did see those kind of like queer themes. I did go back and listen to pretty much everything from like 2014, I believe, to now. So
Oh my gosh. Wow, you've done research. I'm terrified. Let's go.
I always try to do a little bit of digging before like I talk to somebody, and I'm excited because of course I got your music and all of that, but like I always try to get not so much like a curveball or anything, but like find more about somebody. And that's
Yeah,
why I'm excited, because I guess I'm going to learn it all in the conversation. So
that you are. That you are.
are you originally from Pittsburgh, born and raised, or where do you hail from?
I was born in Bluefield, West Virginia.
Okay.
So then I moved to Gary, West Virginia, where I spent my life until age 14. There was a huge flood in McDowell County in 2002. It actually, the last 3 months of my eighth grade school year were canceled. We never went back to school because there was such a huge flood.
Wow.
And so my mother said, we're going to move to Bluefield. Moved to Bluefield the day before the first day of high school. The first day of high school, you can imagine all the things any human is going through, and I'm pulling my clothes out of moving boxes. And then the craziest thing is McDowell County, my entire class was 10 people, and it was people I had known since first grade. Knew where they lived, knew their grandparents, knew everything about them. Walked into Bluefield High School to 1,000 people. It was a culture shock.
That's
Um,
crazy.
11th grade, I then went to Mercer Christian Academy in Princeton, West Virginia. So I'm just like moving up. That was 11th and 12th grade. Then I went to a Christian college. So it's a lot. But I didn't go to Pittsburgh until I was 22, 23, and I randomly went to Pittsburgh. I was going through a breakup, and my high school friend said, come to this place I just moved to. It's called Pittsburgh. It sounds like it would be middle of nowhere. It sounds like it would be cornfields. I was like, cool, I'll hang out. I'm sure it's like near a cabin. There will be like nature. It's a city. To anyone who's grown up in Southern West Virginia, if you take West Virginia and New York and put them together, it's Pittsburgh. So it was another culture shock. And I remember that weekend was over. I was driving home and I started bawling, crying. Strangest thing that ever happened to me. And I knew that it's where I belonged. And I hopped on a Greyhound and moved here. And that was 14 years ago.
That's crazy. That's awesome though, to be able
Yeah,
to find somewhere that you feel it's home to you.
it's overwhelming. But I've actually followed that feeling several times in my life. And it's always led me to where I belong. So I'll always follow it.
Listen, we'll have to get like either a follow up episode or like coffee or something because like
Yes.
finding out that you were in
Yes.
McDowell County and then ended up in Pittsburgh.
I tell people in Pittsburgh and they don't believe me. There are no stoplights in my hometown.
Oh, I believe
Like
it.
there is a stop sign at the Bantam Market by the dentist, but I don't even McDowell County is one road. The entire county is to the left or the right of that one road. So being where I am now is like mind blowing to how I grew up.
I feel like I can only really relate with. I mean, I grew up in Kanawha County my entire life, but growing up, I
Nice.
lived in a holler. So, like, I've never been to McDowell County, believe it or not. I need to make it out that way. And I've also never been to Pittsburgh.
That's quite different. So hollers, I didn't even know what neighborhoods were because when you're in southern West Virginia, it's which holler do you live in?
Uh
Oh, I
huh.
live in number 13 holler. Did you know my friends from number 7 holler? They're all defined on which coal mine was in that neighborhood. That's how they're all defined. So I didn't even know I didn't even know what a neighborhood was at all.
When did like your? I'm sure it probably started when you were younger, but how does your music fit into all of this? When did that start?
Oh boy. So the real answer to that is it started when my mother was pregnant. My mother was the this is so crazy to even say out loud. My mother was the bass player for my home church.
That's really cool.
So the 9 months I'm in the womb, she's playing bass lines, and she played them. I think her water broke after her service or something like that. I'll have to check that. But until I was born, I was in a band. I was in the band corner, and then I was born, and my entire family sung. Like my aunt is the organ player of our church. My cousins were all choir members, so I don't remember like I thought everyone's family was like that. Like I was taught harmony at 3 years old, and I was like singing solos at 4 or 5. My first recording session was in first grade. They
Wow.
took me to a studio and set me on a chair and I sung. My first performance was I think second grade, and I performed for Martin Luther King's daughter.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Every year there's a Martin Luther King program at the Capitol in Charleston, West Virginia, every single year. And this particular year, she was there, and I sung for his daughter, which was insane.
For Pittsburgh, what's like the vibe? What's like the music scene up there?
It's so eclectic, which is really, really cool. There's every type of music. There's music halls. It's very diverse and it's very live music, which is really, really cool. It was hurt a little bit by that in the pandemic, but I think it's restoring itself now. But whatever you're into, whatever your vibe is, you can find that niche. And
Has Pittsburgh had an influence on your music?
oh wow, absolutely. I don't know that the content of my music, especially in the beginning, would have ever happened without moving here. So, to be completely transparent, I moved here because I wanted to know what it was like to get to live an open queer life. That was the entire reason. I moved here still in the closet. I think I came out maybe a year before Permission to Love, the 2014 single happened. So that was a huge time in my life. Like I remember I didn't even know what a pride festival was. I was in Pittsburgh one day and I turned a corner and there were all these rainbow flags and all these and I remember standing there like stuck like you can be this? There's a celebration for this thing that I don't even talk about. You can have this life and people were holding hands and dancing and that liberation like woke up something in me. So I definitely owe Pittsburgh so much for letting me free myself first
Yeah.
and then freeing up the content of my music. Because I always feel like my music is and my songwriting is I go through something, and whenever I learn the lesson, I then have a responsibility to share that with someone else who isn't at this point yet. That's every single song. I can tell you exactly what lesson I learned from each song, and then when you kind of like graduate, you give it to someone else. That's what they are.
Permission to Love was actually, it's not because it was the first one I listened to, but it is in, I picked a top three, and that one made it into the top three. And
Oh.
yeah, so I wanted to walk me through Permission to Love. What was going on?
Ooh.
If you want, if anything's too personal, just tell me and I'll cut it out.
N
Okay.
no, because I'm so thankful for the question, first off. So thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Permission to Love was my awakening. It was the first time, I lived in West Virginia. I lived with my parents. Every relationship I had was a complete secret.
Hmm.
Mom, this is my buddy, this is my friend. He's just spending the night, we're having a sleepover. I had perfected lying. And I know a lot of queer people remember that phase.
Hmm.
And when I first moved to Pittsburgh and I could have a relationship 7 days a week, the freedom that that chapter of my life gave me is where Permission to Love came from. So I'm going through coming out, coupled with my first legit relationship, coupled with marriage equality of being passed. That's a lot. However, it was so liberating. I mean, this was like my first times going to Pride, and I just wanted a song that spoke to the world. It was my very first single. I think I played every instrument on that song, and it
Wow.
was. I remember staying. I slept in the studio. It was my first and only record deal, which we can get into that whenever you like. But I learned so much in that chapter of my life. We recorded the song, and while the song was being finished, we were planning the music video. We made the idea for the music video, and we shot it at a gay club in Pittsburgh 3 days later with extras, with lighting, with smoke, a fake band behind me because they needed to pretend to
Uh
play
huh.
the song because I played all the instruments. Man, it was incredible. And it came from my awakening. That's directly what it came from.
And you were, if you don't care if me asking, how old were you when all of that was going on when you released that 2014?
Oh, um, that would have to be 25, 26.
Wow. Okay. That's really to be, you know, 25 like that because I was around the same age when I finally felt that I was able to come out, to my parents and
Oh
everything. So
wow.
it's
Oh
pretty,
wow.
so I get all of that. Everything that you
That's
said before, like my friend, my buddy, all of that.
It's wonderful to hear because I thought, and this is another thing, because I grew up in the country in West Virginia, and then I moved to a city. My friends here have no concept of I came out at 24, 25, 26. When friends would tell me I did it at 17, I have no concept of that being my reality. I'm a part of me is so jealous and so proud of people who can. It
Hmm.
literally wasn't possible for me. And I don't know if that's just where I grew up. I think technology, I was explaining to a young person a few days ago, like there were no apps for us. Instagram didn't exist. I didn't know that there were queer people my age, just like me, all over the world. It would have probably helped. I thought it was just me in my school. I
Hmm.
thought it was just me in my neighborhood. So a lot of it was I thought this thing was something I could fix, I would grow out of, or just some secret that I would keep the rest of my life. And
Same.
yeah, so it's good to know it's that people are still doing it at different life phases.
It
You
almost
know?
kind of makes me happy to, which I mean, not happy like, having to grow up a secret or anything like that, which my parents and my family were accepting and very supportive. So
That's
fortunately,
awesome.
I've never had to experience the opposite. But I mean, of course, like when I tell people that I came out later, it's kind of, due to the fact, I mean, I remember when I was, God, like 16 or 17, and I wore skinny jeans to the gas station for the first time. And it was like, you would have thought exactly. People were like,
Those PacSun skinny
so
jeans.
I was like,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
so my next one was, I want to say maybe in 2019. I didn't write the year down. It was the song "To Be Yours."
Oh wow. Oh, see, it's super interesting that those are the two songs you mentioned because it's So I'm with a partner when Permission to Love comes out, and I am a hopeless romantic. I always was. I always wanted to be married. Even in my most single chapters of my life,
Hmm.
I always wanted to be married. So Permission to Love was a lot of me dreaming about being in love and being married. The verse to Permission to Love is just give me the right to look in his eyes, tell him he's my everything, legally my prince and dream.
Hmm.
So To Be Yours is the song I wrote specifically about my partner when I was about to propose.
What?
And actually,
What?
I I remember when I was recording that song, I would tell him every day, I'm just going to record this new song I've been working on. He had no clue that his face would be on the like if you look at the album cover, it's my face and his face in a rose. He had no clue that it would end up being the song that played during our proposal video. That was the entire reason I recorded it.
That's so neat. And I love like the details of like the artwork complementing the song, and it's like the full circle.
It is very full circle. Very, very.
And you guys are married now, I take it though.
We
Yeah.
are. We have
Yay.
celebrated 3 years. We've been together 8 years, which is wild.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
so next song is I didn't write the year. I don't think it
It's okay. It's
matters,
okay.
but it was Magic of the Moon. That one really, I just really like that one because the imagery that you put in it, like some of the lines were really,
Ooh. So I'm so glad I'm talking to you.
it's
I am
long, it's been
like
long overdue. Okay.
every question you ask, I think makes me unlock a chapter of my life.
Oh,
So you're
yay.
also a therapist. So Magic of the Moon was the first song I wrote about growing up in West Virginia. Um, of all the songs that I've ever written, this was the first one that I started like connecting. I'm not sure if you ever gotten to the place or if you're old enough yet to get to the place where you start connecting. Something I do now is because of something that happened 20 years ago. There are things that I think now because I remember when it happened when I was 14. Like there is a connection that you start piecing together the older you get. I remember thinking about being single in West Virginia, and I thought that this secret of being queer would be something I'd take to my death. And my parents were married, my sister was married, my brother had relationships. I thought I would always be the single one.
Hmm.
So when all my family was huddled up at night, I would take these long drives to the city overlook in Bluefield. So it was, I still believe in the sound of the countryside
Hmm.
and needing no reason for a drive. Like, I wanted to hear crickets, I wanted to hear fire pits and like live guitars. And
Uh-huh.
when I hear that song still to this day, it takes me back to those long drives of like, one day I'll find them. That's I'm such a nerd. I'm such
Uh,
a dork.
I love it though. Like I don't know, that kind of, I really enjoy music like that. So yeah, that was my top three. Those are my top three. And
Nice.
it, you were talking about, you know, a guitar. I cannot read music to save my life. So, um,
I can't either.
for real.
I tried. I went to college for music performance. See, this is another really weird chapter of my life. I grew up in the average way you grew up in Southern West Virginia with the average financial support you have
Uh,
growing up in Southern West Virginia. And my mother wanted her children to have piano lessons, but she couldn't afford for two kids to have lessons. So she got my older sister piano lessons, and she would let me go to rehearsal and sit in the hallway. I would sit in the hallway and listen to the things that she taught my sister and then run home and practice on the piano. I didn't even realize I was teaching myself to play by ear.
that's great. And I feel like I'm more by like ear because like I can, hear, when I very little dabbled with instruments,
Yeah.
what little bit I did know, it was from hearing, not reading. So that is crazy.
Yeah, I was going to learn to read music, and then I got to college. I was in this performance group. We had been practicing for this tour in Boston. We had been practicing for months. We got there and our piano player had forgotten his sheet music at the hotel. And the realization, I swear the world stopped. The realization that we had been practicing for months, but it wasn't in him at all. There was like something that broke me. The music, not one note was inside of him at all. It was all somewhere else. We had to cancel. And I remember telling myself, I will never allow my performance to not be in me. And I love people who read. I think it's awesome. I think it's such a skill, but it has to be in me. I guess it's why I write my own songs.
And I think, and not that, to take away from, people who don't write their own music, but I feel like
Of
a
course.
lot of the times you can, like with you, like immediately when I listened to the very first song without even hearing you, I knew that you wrote your own music. Like I feel like
Really?
I swear, I feel like there's a quality that,
Wow.
and I'm serious because I remember like when my dad would play his guitar when we were younger, like some of the stuff that I knew was just him, free versing or whatever that he never had written down and I was like, you can tell. I just feel like you can tell when someone writes their own music, like it's authentically them.
Authentic is the word. You know, Adele's one of the best singers ever, but she can sing anything. She does covers on her tours,
Hmm.
but the moment she sings an Adele song, not
Right.
just because you know the song, but it feels different.
Hmm.
There's something about standing before a crowd and saying, "This is something I went through. This isn't something that 10 people sat in a room and told me they collectively went through or made up. This is
Hmm.
something I lived, and now I would like to tell you personally about it." That's it's still mind blowing to me.
Hmm. And that kind of leads me into your most recent release, which is Time, The Art of Letting Go. I listened to that, and that is a very, I don't know, it was really a very moving song. Like the lyrics are very thought provoking. You say that this is your final chapter in music, is it not? Or
It is. It is.
so, I mean, over 10 years, I think you've been, in the game. So I
Yes.
guess, why, after hearing it, I don't want you to stop. I mean, like, I guess,
Oh, that's awesome.
what is what led you to this? Or, why do you feel like this is the end for you? And not that there has to be an explanation, but,
Oh no, I appreciate the question. Um, I'll answer first why this is the end. I think one of the scariest things I've noticed is that people don't recheck in with themselves when it comes to who they are.
hmm.
I've also noticed that that's something. So I'll give you an example. I When I go visit some of my family members or old friends in West Virginia, they will be 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old doing something. You'll ask them why, and they have no clue. I've actually had these conversations with people like, I do it because I did it 20 years ago. Well, this was my dream 40 years ago. This is exactly what I wanted 50 years ago. But at some point, I checked in and I realized that, like, I think it's a chapter. I think it was a beautiful, wonderful chapter of my life. But the 5-year old and the 6-year old who really wanted to be Michael Jackson and really wanted to tour and really wanted to spend all this time making music videos, that's not who I am now. And CJ today doesn't need that.
Hmm.
I love it and I respect it. And I'm having the most fun I've ever had writing and recording and putting out this last album because it's all becoming so full circle. And as morbid as this will sound, so many people never get to decide when a chapter ends for them. Like, think about any chapter of your life. It probably ended when something else decided that chapter was over. Like, there are 70-year-old guys talking about what happened in high school and college. Like, there's 80-year-old guys talking about the girl who got away. Like,
Uh-huh.
I love the ability to say it's going to end on my terms in my time when I've gotten to say everything I wanted to say. I think about how many great musicians and singers and songwriters who never got to say, this is my last song. What do I want to say to the world? They never, there was a studio session that happened and they didn't know it was it. I'm just very, very thankful to get to do it my way.
That's powerful, to have the ownership, the power to be able to close that chapter. And
Yeah.
I guess kind of referring it to, let's say, a book. What are you hoping that you leave with your music? And if anybody would happen to find your music now and in the future and listen all the way through, what are you hoping to, leave them with?
I hope people become more free when they listen to my songs. I try to write in a way that's an answer to something. If your verse is a heartbreak, what's the conclusion by the end of the song? Like
Hmm.
I need to go somewhere because I think music is supposed to be an escape from where you are. It's supposed to be a lesson. It can be a teacher. It can be, gosh, it can be so many things. And I hope people walk away like more inspired to be their authentic, free selves. It's my goal.
I love that. I guess, do you have any advice or anything you would like to tell anybody in those same shoes?
Yeah, if it's real, pursue it because I hate to say this, but like life is so short. I think that's
Hmm.
the thing, that sentence right there is why I said, you know what, I'm gonna hop on a Greyhound and move to Pittsburgh because I think there's a life waiting for me somewhere. I think I'm gonna go on a date with this guy because I think there's something here. I think I'm gonna pursue this thing. I think I'm gonna do life is so short. Jump, follow it. Like if you have a dream, if you have a goal, as long as it's true and authentic to you, by all means follow it. And follow it if it doesn't even look like something that people like you can achieve.
Hmm.
Follow it if no one in your family has ever reached that goal. Follow it if you're different. Follow it if you feel like you don't fit in. Just follow your heart, and there's a whole world out there waiting for someone like you. I wish I
Exactly.
knew that. I did not know that. I'm telling you, it would have. I try to give that to like early 20s, late teens guys when I run into them now. Like, and I think they have more support than we had. But like, there is a whole world out there waiting for whatever expression you are. There really is.
I mean, it is hard to break the mold, to not have any
Yeah.
support and still pursue to leave your hometown to go, but know that
Yeah.
it could be the best, risk or jump you ever take. So,
It was the best decision I ever made, and it's kind of scary. I watched my wedding video recently, and we're in this two-story like art gallery in Pittsburgh, and every single person there is there because I made a decision to hop on a bus in West Virginia one day. Like that's terrifying to think. I was actually having this conversation with my husband the other day. It's terrifying to think how many things that you currently have were because you made a decision one day.
hmm,
It's wild, but it shows you how important your decisions, how much power your decisions actually hold, how
right.
much life-changing power you actually have.
And that was not to touch back on the PacSun jeans, but like the reason I
Yes.
wore those was just, I don't care how many people hated them, said something about them. It was the fact I wore those so that if anybody else came out of that holler and went to that gas station and saw me there, they knew that it was okay for them to be themselves.
Oh, you said a mouthful.
So before we do move into the rapid fire questions, just for anybody who would want to connect with you, to find your music, I'll list it in the show notes, but I always like people to hear it as well. Where can people find you? I know you can on
If
Apple Music.
Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, there's quite a list. YouTube, um, it'll be in your link. It'll be on my Instagram. If you just search C.J. Mitchell, you'll find me. It'll probably be a guy with blonde hair. Yeah.
Is there anything that we have not talked about that you would want to talk about?
So this last album is about 10 tracks and one is out now. They will be released one at a time. So one will most likely come, the next one will most likely come out in April. So stay tuned.
Yay.
Yeah.
Do you have a title for it? And if you do and don't want to say it, you don't have to.
The name of the next song is Palace.
Okay.
It's a song that's going to sound exactly like so my grandfather that I never got to meet was in a very famous quartet, and it's called the Gospel Jubilees in Southern West Virginia. And my grandmother always told me that I sounded like him. So this song is going to be a homage to just the way they sung and the way music sounded back then. And the name of the song is Palace. It'll be a duet with one of my best friends, so it'll be really, really cool.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for that. That sounds really
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm pumped.
Listen, you're definitely coming back because I have so much that I want to ask, but
Super available. Let me know.
so we can move into the rapid fire questions if you want.
Okay, I'm
So
ready.
I only have three. I made them a little bit easy. My first question is it can be between West Virginia and Pittsburgh, but where is your favorite place, be it in between or just wherever in West Virginia or like closer to Pittsburgh area?
Neither. My favorite place in the world is Presque Isle. It's in Pennsylvania. It's a 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh. But
Okay.
I am a secret beach boy, but I grew up in West Virginia and live in Pittsburgh. I'm surrounded by mountains. So I go to Presque Isle and it's a lake, but I can convince myself for a few hours that I am at a beach and I just get to pretend and live my beach fantasy. And there's a specific beach. I think it's 8, 9, or 10. It's called Kite Beach. You'll
Okay.
actually hear about Kite Beach in one of my songs later on this album. But I want you to imagine you park your car and you see 20 kites on a perfect sunny day on the beach and people are running around. It's so wonderful. And it is my favorite place in the world.
Okay. And question number two is, are you watching anything? Do you have like a favorite TV show right now?
Oh, so the world is crazy. Pause. And what I do when the world is crazy or stressful is rewatch my favorite shows. So
Okay.
I basically go in order. I rewatch the entire show of Sex and the City, including the movies, even the second one that was horrible. I rewatch all of those, and then I'm currently on Scandal.
Okay.
Scandal really is hitting a little too close to home because it's politics and elections, and so I have to take breaks from that to watch Bridgerton. So those are my things. I'm in there somewhere.
So last question is, I usually don't reuse questions, but I feel like this is a perfect question. And even if you have to like make something up, it's fine. So
Okay.
if you ever do karaoke, what is like your go-to karaoke song?
All of my friends know this. It's Killing Me Softly by Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. Because, well, it's funny. It used to always be my karaoke song, and I would always get certain responses from it.
Hmm.
So when I performed at Pride Pittsburgh and I was putting my set together, I was like, I have to do this song. So it's the only song, and you can YouTube it. It's the only song in the entire set. I'm on stage by myself, and it feels like karaoke. I'm like calling the audience, like, do you know the song yet? Do you recognize the intro? It's really cool. It is my
That's
go-to song.
funny.
Yes.
So that's the only three rapid fire questions that I have. Do you have any like lasting advice you want to leave off on?
Ooh, ooh. Stay hopeful. We will win. Um, don't watch the news too much. Take care of yourself. Know when it's time to stop doom scrolling. And even if it does not look like it, we have been through so much more in history than you realize, especially
Period.
if you're a queer person. I would like you to look up Harvey Milk. I would like you to look up all the people who liberated at Stonewall. We've survived this before, and we will survive this again. So just keep
Period.
your head up.
That's good. And we will, and we will, and we
We will.
will.
Together.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. To quote CJ, if you have a dream, follow it. There's a whole world waiting for someone like you. If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow and rate the show on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us grow and share more incredible Appalachian stories. You can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, where I highlight local businesses, festivals, and hidden gems across Appalachia. Got a small business or know someone with a story to share? Send me an email at kinfolkpodcastconnect@gmail.com. Show notes, including how to connect with CJ and his music, can be found in the episode description and on Instagram. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and don't be a stranger. Take care, y'all.